I'm Rosalind Butler, and I'm with Real Estate Network. And we're here today to discuss a topic that's been going on now since 2020 of March, the moratorium and nationally and statewide. Assembly Bill 3088 was introduced by our California Assembly for Tenant, Homeowner, and Small Landlord Relief and Stabilization Act of 2020. The Tenant, Homeowner Landlord Act was passed by California legislature through Governor Newsom on August 31st, 2020. The act took effect immediately upon the governor's signature. And to date, this applies to landlords who are owners of residential real property, residential rental units, mobile home parks, and spaces or lots in mobile home parks. It requires a 15-day notice to tenants if the landlord is seeking rent or other charges due between March 1st, 2020 and January 31st, 2021. Additionally, this law extends into protections against the evictions of people. And that is our topic for today. Can you be evicted, and what happens after this moratorium ends? Here with me today, I have one of our leading community activists, Mr. Rodney Brown, who's the CEO of New Life Global Development. He has been through one of these periods before, back in 2007 and 8, when people were impacted negatively by some of these laws. And he's going to be joining me today to discuss how this is all going to roll out. We are very concerned here in Los Angeles, California. We're in lovely downtown Inglewood this morning, and we're here to take any questions you might have and open the door for conversation during the week. We'd like to hear from you on Saturday mornings, and on Wednesday afternoons, we'll be running another Zoom presentation. Mr. Brown, would you like to fill in?
Yes, good morning. My name is Rodney Brown. I'm the CEO of New Life Global Development Corporation based in Los Angeles, California. We are primarily real estate asset managers and developers, building affordable housing units around Council District 8, 9, 10, and 1 currently. We have been assisting residents of Los Angeles for the last 15 to 20 years through these different housing crises, the real estate bubble, people were going to foreclosure and that sort of thing, assisting in that realm. So today we're assisting Rosalind and her alliance of supporters in getting information out to the community about this moratorium and what happens after. So we're here to support. We're here to lender referral services when it comes to reaching out to attorneys and different legal counsel that's needed for those that are in different housing situations, whether you be renting in an apartment or a house, or a landlord that's looking to recover rents that are due as well. We are federal, state, county, and local contractors and vendors. We can be found at newlifeglobaldevelopment.net online, and you can Google my name, Rodney Brown, New Life Global Development, to see some of the properties that we're building around the city and offering supportive housing to homeless housing providers that are well-structured and staffed, like Brilliant Corners, Hopix, WLCAC, and others around the county of Los Angeles. So we're here to support. Our number is 310-351-4631. Well, you can always get in touch with Rosalind to get some referral information and whatever we might need. So this is the first of several meetings that we will have to get the word out. We know time is of the essence, and the extension of the 30 days with the moratorium is only enough time for those to sort of figure out what are they going to do and what is the right solution for those that are in different situations, because it's definitely not a one size fits all. When it comes to applying for housing and resources, it makes a difference whether you're an individual, a family, senior citizen, a veteran, or families or individuals with children. So keep abreast of what Rosalind's doing out here and advocating for you to assist you in avoiding eviction or losing your house to foreclosure. We are experienced real estate professionals on a mission to assist in this crisis that's about to get a lot worse after the moratorium. So thank you for the time, and reach out to us if there's a need. Again, my name is Rodney Brown. I'm the CEO of New Life Global Development. Thank you.
Rodney will be joining us back a little later. I want to get into what some of these laws and extensions have been that Governor Newsom has set in place. The first one was in April 2020. It was the emergency eviction ban. It's a temporary emergency to stop any evictions of people from their apartments or homes in the event that they could not pay their rent or mortgage. Homeowners were put into what they call a forbearance, and we'll go into what a forbearance is a little bit later. Those of you homeowners that are in one, that's a crucial area because you are allowed to have 2 forbearances. After that, there's going to be some interesting things happening, and you need to be on top of what to do next. And probably trying to obtain a refi may be a little difficult. You need to consult an attorney. A lot of this information we cannot give you guidance on because it does require an attorney. So we will be suggesting, hotlines and resources that you can reach out to attorneys to ask some of the more technical questions and let them review your specific case, because absolutely everybody's situation is a little bit different. AB 3088, keep that in your top of your brain because it's very important. Extends eviction protections to residential tenants who declare to their landlords via a written notice under penalty of perjury that they have a financial hardship related to COVID-19, which means that if you had loss of income, increased work expenses because you were working from home now, increased health care, maybe one of your children became ill with COVID, a family member became ill with COVID. The bill protects a wide range of tenants of apartment buildings, single family homes, duplexes, mobile homes, accessory dwellings. Tenants who timely send their landlord a hardship declaration cannot be evicted for failing to pay rent that was due between March and August of 2020. If landlords want to pursue evictions against residential tenants who are behind in their rent payments, landlords will need to send notices containing a statutory explanation of the tenant's rights to them. So there's about 3 documents that a landlord should have provided you with. 1, the new law statutory document stating all of these changes, and that you need to submit a declaration stating which one of the incidents caused you to fall behind that I just enumerated. And the last one is a form where you're paying approximately 25% of your rent to the landlord. Many of you have been paying something. This particular form would be filled out in 2 parts, what you've been paying and what the landlord is owed. At that point, you can take this document and go to one of the housing authority programs, such as Housing is Key or one of the others, and present it to them, number one, to stop any eviction, but number two, so they have a running record of how far behind you are in your rent. They will then pay up to 80% of your rent based upon your median income in that particular county. So it's going to vary from county to county and from city to city. I have people out in San Bernardino that ask questions. They've got to check with their city to find out what the exact percentage is or the median income. Everything now is kind of income based. The new law allows landlords to pursue an unlawful detainer against you in a variety of circumstances, including actions against a non-residential tenant, evictions for lease defaults or other non-payment of rent, evictions for missed rent payments prior to. So let's back up here. This is very significant. You can still be evicted if you violate some of your leasing requirements, like where you park on the premises, or you're a nuisance in the building, you're creating a loud noise. They can take you into court and ask the judge to remove you from the premises for that. No, they cannot remove you for the non-payment of rent. Now, who's to say that they couldn't use that as a reason to try to get you out? But we're just letting you know that there are other ways that they could come after you to remove you from the premises. If it's in the lease that you're defaulting on or you're negligent about. Evictions for missed rent payments prior to March 2020. Some people were already behind in their rent prior to the moratorium. The moratorium started in March of 2020. So if you were already behind, say from December, January, and February, they can evict you. So these people legitimately, or the landlord has a legitimate reason to go ahead and move forward to move you out of the premises. Landlords are prohibited from evicting a tenant for a reason other than non-payment of rent in retaliation for having unpaid COVID-19 rental debt. AB 3088 also penalizes landlords up to $2,500 for resorting to self-help to evict a tenant, such as locking the tenant out, throwing their personal belongings out onto the curb, shutting off their utilities rather than going through the required court process. So if any of that has happened to you, we do have an office that works with people that are being evicted. I have knowledge of an attorney that works with EDN, that's the Eviction Defense Network. She can stop the sheriff from moving you out of your apartment if you have filed your paperwork correctly. It is very important that all these documents that we're bringing to you today that you need to fill out have been turned in to the Renters Assistance Program to stop any action against you. Now, these periods are from March of 2020 to August of 2020, the landlord cannot evict. From September 2020 to January of 2021, the landlord must allow the tenant until January 31st to make a 25% payment and can only evict if the renter fails to make that payment. Okay, so this was for the beginning of this year. As you know, it got extended, and there's been about 3 extensions now. And we just received the last extension the other day. So you got 1 extension for those people that were behind on January of 2021. You are due to give that landlord at least 25% of that rent. It requires landlords to send you 3 notices. The notice about the new law, the notice regarding past due rent from March to August of 2020, and a notice for the past due rent from September 2020 to January 21. This prohibits a court from finding a tenant liable for unlawful detainer before February 1st, 2021. The extension now has gone to August 31st, with the borrowers of mortgages backed by Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac are eligible for an additional forbearance, which means it's an extension up to another 6 months with the Federal Housing Finance Agency. The new loan mod applications when approved, can run until August 31st, 2022. So if you were approved for a loan modification, you have until August 31st of 2022 to be under that particular protection. And this includes multifamily forbearance policies in December, pushing forbearance options for the multifamily mortgages backed by GSE to March 31st, 2021. Next, we have our renter assistance program. It's the state of California. It's called the COVID-19 Tenant Relief Act, which protects renters who have experienced COVID-19 related financial distress from being evicted for failing to make rental payments due to March 1st, 2020 to June 30th, 2021. So this latest period ended as of June, and now we received a new extension, which takes us to September 30th of 2021. So that brings us up to date. This law gives you the following protections. If you fail to make rental payments between March 1st, 2020 and August 31st, 2020, because you have a decreased income or increased expenses due to COVID-19 pandemic, as described above, you cannot be evicted based on this non-payment. If you are unable to pay rental payments that come due September 1st, 2020 through June 30th of 2021 because of decreased income or increased expenses due to COVID-19, you can be evicted if you pay 25% of the rental payments missed during the time period on or before June 30th. So you are under the mandate to pay your landlord up to 25% of the rent. Those of you that have not done that could be running the risk when this moratorium is lifted as of September 30th of getting your eviction notices. It's very important that you do not ignore a 15-day notice to pay rent or quit, or a notice to perform covenants, or to quit from your landlord. If you are served with a 15-day notice, do not provide the declaration form to your landlord before the 15-day notice expires. You could be evicted. You also could be evicted beginning July 1st, 2021, if you owe rental payments due between September 1st, 2020 and June 30th, 2021, and you do not pay the amount equal to at least 25% of the payments missed for that time period. So each renter at this point is relegated to pay a minimum of 25% of their rent. You need to calculate what that amount is, make out an arrangement with your landlord. We highly advise you to do that if you're not planning on paying this money, so that they get it in their hand that you have made an attempt to make an arrangement. So when you appear in court, you can, give this information to the judge, and hopefully he will grant you some additional time. Needless to say, at the end of this moratorium, if you are in this renter assistance program, they agree to forego some of these charges. I'm not sure the amount. I'm just saying, once you get with the renter assistance program, they're going to call you in for an interview. They will ask you certain questions about what caused your hardship. And once they review your documentation, and if you were on unemployment or whatever the situation became, they will let you know what is your rightful share to pay to this landlord. And if they choose to negate it or let you go for that amount, they will let you know. The next thing we just want to talk about briefly is one of the programs that is helping people out. It's called Housing is Key. It's SB 91. There's a lot of laws that came in to help people in need. They work with both renters and landlords. You have to check and see if your renter household income is eligible to be in either of these programs. That's for the renter and for the landlord. All payments must be received to satisfy the renter's unpaid rent. Eligible time frame for financial assistance dates back to April 1st, 2020. So yes, many people have asked me that question. Can I go back to last year when I was laid off from work, or I couldn't work, or I had COVID or whatever? Yes, you can apply all the way back to March of 2020 when things were not going well. Renters, one of the following is what you're going to need to present: your 2020 tax return, your 2020 W-2, or your 1099-G if you were unemployed, your current pay stubs, proof of participation in a state or federal subsidy program such as CalFresh, CalWorks, or your 2020-2021 acceptance or renewal letter is preferred. And if you're applying for help with utilities, I don't think we mentioned that earlier. Yes, the renter assistance program does help pay utilities. So this is well worth your time to put your paperwork together and go down and talk to these people, because your utilities were going forward. If you notice, they weren't really hounding you about cutting off your electricity or cutting off your gas. However, those bills are mounting, and they're probably considerably high right now. And I would highly suggest you talk with them. Even if you didn't need the renter's assistance, you may need the assistance with the utilities. So get that paperwork in.